Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. The day Thomas's first love returned to the country, he didn't discuss it with me and brought her back to our home. When I questioned him, he spoke with conviction. Selena has unexpectedly gone blind. I promised that I would be her support. I have the obligation to take her in. I fell ill, but he wouldn't take a single day off. Yet to take care of his first love, he took 2 months off. Selena tripped over my package and accidentally bumped her forehead. His pained eyes turned red, and he coldly scolded me. "Get out of here with your pile of junk." I nodded blandly. Okay, I agreed to the blind date arranged by my sister. I agreed to go home for the blind date. The sister on the other end of the phone was instantly delighted and laughed out loud at my words. "Finally willing to leave that little boyfriend of yours." I've said it before, you two are not a match, and there will definitely be no outcome. Moreover, all these years, he has never been willing to acknowledge you in front of his friends. Sister's words were like a plain thorn. They gently pierced deep into my heart. It turns out that the bystanders see so clearly, and the only one confused is me. I took a deep breath and forced a relaxed smile. "Sister, didn't you say you'd be back in Hong Kong in 7 days? Then I'll go back in 7 days, and you can arrange for me to meet that person." I hung up the phone, and suddenly a figure appeared behind me. Thomas quietly circled to face me, picked up a new ceramic cup from the cabinet, and raised an eyebrow, asking, "Who are you going to see? Which person do you want to meet?" "My blind date." The words were on the tip of my tongue, but in the end, I still didn't say them. I shook my head expressionlessly. "It's nothing, just a friend." My gaze fell on the brand new ceramic cup in his hand, and I looked up at him. "How did you think to use it?" The ceramic cup in his hand was a pair of Disney couple mugs. When I gave him this gift on Valentine's Day, Thomas said he liked it very much, but he immediately put it in the closet, and it was covered with dust. I asked him why he didn't use it. He smiled and hugged me from behind. "Silly, we always need a pair for when we get married." At that moment, my heart felt like it was wrapped in honey. It turned out he had envisioned our future, envisioned our wedding day. But later, I accidentally saw Selena's Facebook. I found out that the person who likes Disney ceramic mugs is Selena. Thomas imagined the person who would use those cups for the wedding wasn't with me either. Nowadays, seeing me staring blankly at the cup in his hand, Thomas casually explained, "Selena didn't have a suitable cup to drink water, so I brought this one for her to use, and she just happens to like it." The words about getting married were long forgotten by him. I swallowed the bitterness, thinking that we had no future anyway, so I nodded. "Go ahead, don't keep her waiting." Thomas didn't expect me to be so generous. His eyes showed a hint of surprise. In the end, he leaned closer and ruffled my hair. At my hair, his tone unusually gentle. "Wait for me to come back." I was deeply engrossed in writing my resignation letter in the study when suddenly the door was pushed open. "Rachel!" I instinctively turned off the computer, distancing myself from him a little. "Where's Selena?" "Selena is hospitalized today. The doctor said she needs to be observed a bit longer." I watched him, his face full of exhaustion, clearly worried sick over Selena. When Selena returned to the country, she called Thomas as soon as she got off the plane. Upon learning that she was blind, Thomas ran to pick her up like a madman. He didn't discuss it with me and brought her to stay at her home. At first, I didn't know that Selena was his first love. He suggested that she stay in a hotel, and if no one could take care of her, he could hire a caregiver. Thomas frowned and rebutted me without a second thought. "Rachel, I'm not comfortable with someone else taking care of me. Let Selena stay at her house for a while. Before she went abroad, she was my best friend, and I promised her that I would take good care of her. It's nothing for a friend to take care of things, but Thomas's attitude is really too unusual." Until one day, he went downstairs to buy something. Selena smiled and approached me. "Rachel, are you curious about my relationship with Thomas?" Actually, I was his first love. I heard that after we broke up, he dated several girlfriends, all of whom looked like me. "Rachel, even though I can't see with my eyes, I know we must look very similar." Right at that moment, when I heard those words, I froze completely. She was right. My face and hers bore a 5-point resemblance. That day, I took her downstairs for a walk, and someone asked if we were sisters. I only just realized that after 6 years of dating, I was nothing but a substitute. All the doubts that had been lingering before were suddenly resolved. Why he cared so much about Selena. I fell ill with a high fever that wouldn't go down, so I called Thomas and asked him to take a day off to come back and keep me company. He was in a difficult position. Rachel, I've been too busy with work lately. I really can't take time off. But now, in order to take care of Selena, he directly requested a 2-month leave. The company refused to approve it, so he simply resigned. Selena was wandering around the house and accidentally tripped over the package I had left in the corner. Her forehead hit the edge, leaving a red mark. Thomas's eyes were red with pain, and he exploded on the spot. For the first time, he coldly scolded me. Rachel, your things are not arranged properly, so I threw them all in the trash. Get out with your pile of junk. Thomas only cared about holding Selena and taking her to the hospital, but he didn't notice me clutching my stomach, my face pale with pain. My stomach issues flared up again, but he never cared. Looking at his anxious, departing figure, I nodded calmly. Okay, I will make your wish come true. You will soon no longer see me for several days in a row. I no longer inquired. About him and Selena, I support all the demands he makes. Thomas's attitude towards me has surprisingly softened quite a bit that night. I finished my resignation letter and sent it to my boss's email when Thomas came in holding a cup of hot water. Rachel, why have you been sleeping so late these days? He hugged me from behind, leaning down to bury his head in the crook of my neck, showering me with delicate kisses. Selena is not here tonight, he said. Thomas's breathing grew heavier. I frowned and subtly avoided his touch. I'm not feeling well today. The desire in Thomas's eyes gradually extinguished, and he gently smiled as he ruffled my hair. I turned away with a blank expression, now facing his touch. I only feel disgust. A week ago, in the early morning, there was thunder and lightning. Selena groped her way to our room and hugged Thomas. Thomas, I am scared. Thomas was afraid of waking me, carefully helping Selena out the door. In the living room, he deliberately lowered his voice. Don't be afraid. I'll stay in your room with you tonight. Thomas glanced back at me before entering the guest room and kindly helped me close the door. That night, with thunder and lightning outside, he held another woman in his arms, sharing their hearts. Thomas thought I was asleep when Selena couldn't help but kiss him. He did not refuse. Instead, he kissed her back with passion. Their movements were intense and fervent. I sat on the bed helplessly, hugging my knees with tears streaming down my face, separated by 2 doors. At that time, I recalled a past event 6 years ago when we had just gotten together. Thomas, in a drunken kiss, mumbled incoherently. I thought they were calling my name, but it didn't sound like it at all. Now that I think about it, it should have been Selena. As my thoughts gathered, I turned off the computer, extinguished the light in the study, and turned to head back to my room. Thomas suddenly called out to me from behind. His voice was like it was coming through a layer of mist. Rachel, why do I feel like you haven't been quite yourself lately? Is something wrong? I've noticed you've been downcast. We promised to talk about everything, no matter what it is. You have to tell me. I stopped in my tracks and slowly turned my head. The Thomas in front of me, wearing loose black and gray pajamas, looked at me with a worried expression. It felt as if I had returned to that day 6 years ago when we first met. That year, we took the wrong umbrella, and Thomas stood right in front of me like this. He looked at me and smiled lightly. He said, Rachel, the immortal and the white snake at the broken bridge, giving an umbrella. Don't you think it's quite fateful that we took the wrong umbrella? At that time, my heart was pounding, but now it has long since stopped. Thomas slowly approached me, wanting to hold my hand. You are my girlfriend, and I will take on anything for you. Tell me what happened. My nose tinged with a sourness. I really wanted to hear him tell me in person what his relationship with Selena was. Elena was before I could say anything. Thomas's phone rang. It was a unique ringtone, different from all the other calls. I lowered my head and caught a glimpse. No name, just a heart-shaped emoji, which was enough to explain everything. Thomas did not hesitate to answer, and on the other end of the line came the frightened sobs of a girl. Thomas, I'm so scared. I don't want to trouble you, but I'm in the hospital alone, and I just fell when I got out of bed. I don't know what to do. Thomas's expression changed immediately. He ran into the room to change his clothes and soon grabbed his coat, ready to head out. Rachel, Selena fell at the hospital and is alone. I'm going to check on her. The words I didn't say were swallowed by me. I smiled and said, go ahead. As soon as Thomas's figure completely disappeared from my sight, I collapsed onto the bed, as if all the strength had been drained from my body. The next day, I cleared out all the excess things in my home. After 6 years of dating, I had bought a lot of cute little trinkets, most of which were couples items. In the past, Thomas found it amusing and never stopped me from buying them, yet he never agreed to use them. These years have accumulated into a small mountain. They are all covered in dust. It's as if they have been mocking my pitiful and sad state. Most of those things were quite new. Some I threw away directly, and the useful ones I listed for sale on secondhand websites or gave away. I glanced at the calendar. There are 3 days left. Holding my cup of water, I looked out the window, watching the clouds roll and disperse, gathering together only to quickly scatter again. So I'll use these last 3 days to say a proper goodbye. Thomas didn't come home all night. He returned the next afternoon. As soon as he walked in, he saw me a bit surprised. Rachel, why didn't you go to work today? I didn't tell him that I had already resigned, nor did I want him to know anything about me. I casually said, I'm not feeling well today, so I took a day off. Thomas let out a sound, turned back to the room to get clean clothes and things for Selena. He probably didn't hear what I was saying at all. He was even less concerned about where I was feeling unwell. Since Selena moved in, I've gotten used to it. It feels as if I am the extra one living under someone else's roof, and Selena is his real girlfriend. 5 minutes later, Thomas took out a bag of things and placed it on the counter at the door. He turned to look at me, suddenly remembering something, and came over to hug me. I am sorry, Rachel. I've been busy taking care of Selena these past few days. She can't do without me, and I've neglected you. I promise you, once this is all over, I will spend quality time with you. You've always wanted to go to Yulong, Snow Mountain, right? How about I accompany you to climb it in a few days? I remained silent. I thought to myself that we had no future. Thomas chuckled to himself and took out a delicate little gift box from his pocket. Rachel, this is for you. He opened it himself, and inside was a small ring. I didn't reach out to take it because a few days ago, Selena had shown off this ring to me. She said it was given to her by Thomas 6 years ago and that he must marry her in this lifetime. It was the engagement ring. I don't know how this ring ended up back in Thomas's hands, but I'm not interested at all. Leave it to Selena. She might like it. I packed my things, holding that box of trash and carrying my bag, ready to go out. Thomas was taken aback, looking at my back. He suddenly felt a panic in his heart. Rachel, where are you going? Just going out for a walk. Thomas stepped forward and chased after me for a few steps, hesitating to speak. Rachel, did you see that post? I stopped in my tracks. He was talking about the Facebook post from last night. After 6 years of dating, I had never been willing to publicly acknowledge my Thomas on social media. Yet last night, I posted a photo of Selena on Facebook. They held hands in front of the hospital bed. In the picture was Selena's peaceful sleeping face. Thomas captioned it, "With you by my side, it feels like I've gained the whole world." Many people were commenting below, "Is this your sister-in-law, Thomas? You sly one, hiding her for so long, only now willing to go public after so many years of dating. It seems good things are on the horizon." Of course, there was a reply, "What do you know? This is Thomas's first love, goddess." I didn't have much of a reaction after seeing it, so I casually liked it. But soon, that Facebook post was deleted. I guess they forgot that I might have seen it too. I had never looked through Thomas's phone, but just a few days ago, I accidentally saw his phone lit up. Out of curiosity, I took a glance and saw that his Facebook was filled with private photos marked as only visible to me. I scrolled down several times. All of them were photos of him and Selena. Every little detail about them, even though it was 6 years ago, still held significant weight in his heart. At that moment, I knew I had lost. Thinking of this, I smiled. "What Facebook? What did you post?" Thomas examined my expression, not noticing anything unusual. He let out a barely perceptible sigh of relief. "Rachel, wait for me to come back. There's just one more day, and Selena will be discharged. Once her eyes are healed, I'll have her move out of our home, and then I'll spend some quality time with you." I couldn't help but sneer. Thomas had been looking for a house for Selena everywhere a few days ago. The requirements were for a villa with good conditions, a quiet environment, and it had to meet Selena's lighting preferences. I looked up at him expressionlessly. "It's your business. You can handle it. No need to tell me." Thomas frowned at these words. He grabbed my arm. "Rachel, are you angry? The reason I'm so nice to Selena is because I learned some things from back then. She's very pitiful. You're my girlfriend. You should try to see things from my perspective. Don't be jealous, okay?" I smiled even more, brushing his hand away. "You're overthinking it. I'm really not angry. In 2 days, I will be leaving. It's good that you're not angry. The day after tomorrow is our 6th anniversary. Wait for me in the evening. I'll take you out for candlelight dinner." Thomas smiled and gave my nose a playful poke before leaving with his bag. I didn't expect he would still remember the 6th anniversary, since he was willing to come for this meal. Let's formally say goodbye. Let's make everything clear and part on good terms. But on the evening 2 days later, sitting in the reserved restaurant, I waited for more than 2 hours, and Thomas still had not shown up. Finally, waiting until 11 o'clock at night, the food had gone cold. Thomas sent back a text. "Sorry, Rachel. Selena had some issues at the hospital. I have to stay with her. You can eat by yourself first." I replied lightly, "Okay." Then I quietly finished eating alone. The next day, without waiting for him to return, I packed my suitcase and left the city. Thomas was busy until the afternoon of the next day. Finally, he found some free time. His first reaction was to open his phone and take a look at our chat conversation. No new messages popped up, only a simple and striking "okay." Thomas couldn't help but frown. "Why have you been so well behaved lately?" He smiled and sent me a message. "Little fool, why haven't you checked on me lately? Don't you want to ask when I'm coming home?" After sending the message, a smile lingered at the corner of his lips. On the way back, he unconsciously stopped at the dessert shop and bought a strawberry cake that I love to eat. Selena smelled the sweet scent of strawberries and chuckled as she reached out to take it. "How did you know I wanted to eat cake?" Thomas stepped back and withdrew his hand. "It's not for you." His gaze fell on the cake, carefully holding it, a hint of tenderness showing in his expression. "It's for Rachel." But half an hour had passed, and no one replied to the message. Thomas felt a bit anxious in his heart. He arranged for Selena to be at the villa and tried to call me. "Little fool, hurry and answer the phone." But it indicated that the other party had turned off their phone. The smile on Thomas's face instantly froze. He knew that during these 6 years of being in love, I had severe battery anxiety and had never turned off my phone. Thomas suddenly panicked, his heart racing, and he crazily tried to stop the cars on the side of the road. The repetitive action of dialing the phone never stopped. "Please pick up the phone, Rachel. Don't let anything happen." Thomas tightly gripped his phone, the veins on the back of his hand bulging. He had never felt such panic before. It was as if he was about to lose something. Thomas got out of the car and quickly ran upstairs. He even rejected the call from Selena that came in midway. He saw the lovely decoration on the doorknob and suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. That was the feeling of home. It made him feel at ease. "Rachel, why aren't you answering?" Thomas opened the door, the unfinished words stuck in his throat. At home, were there any people? Even the entire living room looks incredibly tidy and spacious. Thomas called my name several times. He searched every room, but he could no longer find me. Thomas suddenly panicked. He ran to the master bedroom and opened the wardrobe door. He found that all my clothes were gone. Only his pajamas and suit remained hanging there, all alone. How could this happen? Thomas's expression changed completely. Finally, he stopped in front of the counter in the living room, trembling as he reached out to open the cabinet door, wanting to see if the things inside were still there. As a result, that umbrella also disappeared. That umbrella was the one that Thomas and I mistakenly took from each other when we first met. We became connected because of that. After we got together, we treated that umbrella as a token of love and kept it well. We even agreed to take it out on the day we get married to serve as a witness. Unfortunately, we have no future. That umbrella was also thrown away by me, along with a useless little trinket. Thomas's eyes turned red on the spot, and he quickly bombarded me with calls. I was just taking out the card from my phone after getting off the plane. I casually threw it into the trash can. I was foolish for 6 years. I was deceived for 6 years. Now I can finally say goodbye to the past and go home to take on my responsibilities. Rachel, over here. My sister came to pick me up early in the morning. She was dressed stylishly, with a large pair of sunglasses on her forehead that nearly covered half her face. After 6 years, she still looked as young as before. "Yeah, I'm back." My sister smiled and hugged me. "It's good that you're back. I thought you were out having too much fun and would forget about your sister and the family business. Since the year I was 7, after my parents' accidental plane crash, my sister, who is 3 years older than me, took it upon herself to bear the family's burdens. She has high emotional and intellectual intelligence, excels at socializing, and at a young age, she interacts with the company's veterans. Originally, I could have lived my life freely. However, 3 months ago, my sister sent me a message saying that the company is now facing an unprecedented crisis. Only by marrying Wilson from the neighboring group can we help our family get through this crisis. I used to think I had a boyfriend. I fantasized about having a bright future with Thomas. Without a second thought, I rejected it. But now I am willing to approach dating Wilson with a tried-out attitude. If we don't dislike each other, then getting married isn't a big deal. After all, compared to life, love really doesn't mean much. This time, I also want to help my sister with something. Under my sister's arrangement, Wilson and I had our first meeting. He was somewhat different from what I had imagined. I thought he would be the kind of wealthy bachelor who is complacent and, as a result, he walked towards me in a black trench coat, smiling elegantly. And I admit that at that moment, I was stunned. It turns out that people cannot have stereotypes. "Rachel, I am Wilson." He extended his hand to me like a gentleman. Then he helped me push the chair back, taking great care to assist me in sitting down. We were chatting when suddenly I heard a familiar voice. I looked up, and to my surprise, it was Selena. I was instantly stunned. Wasn't she blind? Wasn't she supposed to be in Haicheng? How could she suddenly come to Gangcheng? Selena was having dinner with a middle-aged man, showing no signs of blindness at all. The two began to get touchy-feely as they ate, and I couldn't help but glance over there. My feelings were very complicated. Wilson also noticed my gaze and looked over there. He smiled and asked me, "Do you know them?" I instinctively shook my head. Selena is Thomas's first love, and although it's very likely that they might rekindle their old feelings, that's their business. It has nothing to do with me. In the middle of it, my stomach began to ache faintly. I forced myself to drink a few sips of hot water, but it still didn't get any better. Suddenly, a hand reached over with a box of stomach medicine. I was a bit incredulous, but still took it. "How did you know I had a stomachache?" Wilson smiled. "Your sister told me that you've always had a little stomach issue, so just in case, I brought it with me." Not only that, although it was our first meeting, Wilson was very attentive to the point of being meticulous. He seemed to understand me so well that there was not a single misstep in our interaction. I didn't feel repulsed on our first date. Soon, we had a second, then a third. A few days later, Wilson invited my sister and me to go ice skating. My sister was resting beside me when suddenly a call came in from an unfamiliar number. After she connected, it was surprisingly Thomas's voice. "I'm looking for Rachel. Where is she? Has she gone home?" My sister chuckled lightly and asked him who he was. He said he was my boyfriend. My sister glanced at me, who was happily chatting with Wilson, and smiled. "Used to be, but not necessarily now." After saying that, my sister hung up the phone. On the way home, she finally mentioned it to me. "That little boyfriend of yours called me today. What's up? Didn't you two part on good terms?" I just remembered because once my phone ran out of battery and I used his phone to call my sister. He actually still remembers. I chuckled lightly. There's nothing to part on good terms about. His heart has gone to someone else and isn't here with me at all. So much so that for the last goodbye, he didn't even come. Sometimes missing someone is a lifetime. Why bother with any other entanglements? After several rounds of contact with Wilson, I felt increasingly in sync with him, and we quickly established a relationship. Both sides were originally aiming for a marriage alliance. My sister saw that I didn't dislike Wilson and soon began to arrange. During our engagement party, Wilson accompanied me to try on an engagement dress and wedding gown. On the road, I saw Thomas, whom I thought I would never see again in this lifetime. He actually came to Harbor City to find me. When he appeared in front of me, he looked very haggard. I hooked my arm around Wilson's, intending to pretend not to see him as I passed by. But unexpectedly, he suddenly rushed over and grabbed my wrist. His tone was filled with suppressed anger and disbelief. "Rachel, why did you leave me without a word? Do you know how worried I was about you? Who is this man?" Thomas's eyes were crimson, his face full of vigilance as he stared at Wilson beside me. I calmly pushed his hand away. "Thomas, we have broken up. Please stop bothering me." Thomas stared at me blankly, then suddenly laughed self-deprecatingly, his eyes even turning red. He looked genuinely hurt. "I didn't know we broke up." "Rachel, we've been together for 6 years, and you just say we break up? Have you been playing me all along? Do you even care about me?" His voice was loud, and passers-by around heard the commotion and gathered to see the excitement. "I don't want to make a big deal out of this. I just want to take Wilson and leave here." Thomas's eyes turned red, and he refused to let me go. "You make it clear. You said that anyone who betrays true feelings should swallow 1,000 silver needles. Since we've come this far in our conversation, I can't help but sneer, Thomas. Anyone can talk to me sincerely, but you're the only one who doesn't deserve it. For these 6 years, why had you been with me? We both know the answer. In the end, I'm just a stand-in for Selena. Now that Selena is back, what is there to cling to as just a stand-in? Thomas, stop pretending to be so deeply emotional. Seeing you like this now only makes me feel disgusted." Thomas seemed shocked by my words. He was completely stunned. "What substitute?" He looked very hurt, with a face full of disbelief. "Did you really think you were Selena's substitute? Rachel, you misunderstood." He suddenly softened his tone to pull me, but I shook him off fiercely. This appearance of softening one's tone to seek reconciliation after doing something wrong can no longer make my heart soften. In the 6 years of love before, I was always easy to fool and easy to coax. A stick followed by a piece of candy was always effective on me. But the premise at that time was that I still deeply loved Thomas. I thought we loved each other, and a few small bumps and twists didn't matter. After all, there was still a long road ahead. But now we have come to an end, Thomas. Whether or not you are a substitute, you and Selena can finally be together, and no one will interfere with you anymore. Please do not disturb me and my fiancé again. I coldly dropped the sentence, looking back on the past of enduring humiliation and bearing burdens. It was nothing but self-inflicted shame. My sister is right. I should have decisively left the moment I sensed something was off. Ed Wilson away from the scene, and when we reached a secluded spot, I finally let go of his hand and apologized to him. "I'm sorry. I must have embarrassed you. That was my ex. We've already broken up, so don't worry." Wilson chuckled lightly as he took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat from my forehead. There was no trace of concern on his face. Instead, he smiled even more gently. "It's okay. I know I've been paying attention to you all these years. Haven't you noticed? It was only then that I realized the good luck I thought I had before was not true. Good luck. In fact, someone had been secretly helping me. Everything goes incredibly smoothly at work. There's always a savior when difficulties arise." "So that's how it is," Wilson said. "He is like me for a long time. He knows me much longer than I have known Thomas. He said that back in college, before he graduated, he wanted to come to Haiching to confess to me, but he happened to see me just getting together with Thomas, so he chose to step back and silently wait." Wilson looked at me with full eyes and said softly, "At that time, I was if that person could treat you well, love you, and protect you for a lifetime, I would choose to step aside. But I didn't expect that 6 years later, he himself lacks vision and actually took the initiative to give up such a wonderful girl like you. Rachel, it seems we are more fated to be together." I laughed. Yes, fate is indeed something that is not entirely in our control. I opened up to Wilson about my past experiences, and our relationship progressed rapidly, heating up quickly. I rarely think of Thomas anymore. I thought Thomas, who left in disappointment last time, would never find me again. He saw Wilson looking particularly angry. Mr. Wilson, you are the CEO of a publicly listed group. You shouldn't be lacking in women around you. Why do you have to compete with me for a girlfriend? I told you last time we met, Rachel is now my girlfriend. I can't give her up to you. I was astonished and looked up. When had they met, and when had they said such things? Wilson smiled gently and pointed in the direction behind him. Thomas, as far as I know, isn't your first love. Saying this, two bodyguards behind him brought a girl over. The girl was struggling uncontrollably. It was actually Selena. She didn't expect Thomas to be here as well. When their eyes met, there was an unmistakable panic in her gaze. Thomas was taken aback, his eyes filled with coldness. Selena, how did you come here? Thomas, let me explain. Selena was not blind at all. She had been pretending the whole time. It was this man. He used me. He bet me to go to Haiching to seduce you and stay by your side. And as long as I could make you break up with Rachel, he would marry me. But he lied to me. He went back on his word. The person Selena was accusing, with a face full of anger, was none other than my fiancé, Wilson, who was standing beside me. They exchanged glances. I also unconsciously looked at Wilson. Is it true a trace of guilt flashed in Wilson's eyes as he held my hand and admitted calmly, "It was me, Rachel. I was just too worried that you would be deceived." So I investigated a bit more and found out that Thomas has always loved someone else. In his heart, he has never forgotten his first love. When he was with you, he was merely treating you as a substitute. Rachel, how can you be someone else's substitute? Wilson looked at me gently, with a face full of sincerity. No matter what, Wilson is not wrong. Thomas has always loved someone else in his heart. No matter how he tries to make up for it, he cannot change the fact that he has indeed deceived me, and this is unforgivable. Thomas, however, wore a cold smile and swung his fist, striking Wilson in the face. Wilson narrowly escaped, and immediately, countless bodyguards rushed over and captured Thomas. In a disheveled state, Thomas shouted at me with crimson eyes, "Rachel, did you hear that? This man beside you is not a good man at all, not worth trusting. It's him who deliberately messed with me and broke us apart." I looked at Thomas coldly. I didn't say a word. In the end, I had the bodyguard throw him out. Wilson knelt down in front of me and apologized. "Rachel, although I did use some means to make you leave that man, believe me, I really couldn't bear to see you being deceived." I smiled lightly and held his hand. "I trust you." In front of Thomas, Wilson and I left the scene with our fingers interlocked. Later, Thomas somehow got my phone number. He called me more than 10 times, all of which I impatiently rejected. The engagement banquet went smoothly. Their family generously invested to help the sisters' company through the crisis. We were also quickly preparing to hold the wedding. I specifically instructed the bodyguard beside me that if Thomas comes looking for me, I will not see him for several months. I had not heard from them again until the wedding day. I stood on the platform in my wedding dress under the glare of the flashlights, smiling as I said, "I do." At that moment, I still sensed a scorching gaze directed at me. I caught a glimpse of a corner of the audience and saw Thomas's figure. He glanced at me and then turned to leave. After getting married, my sister and Wilson each entrusted me with the company to manage, and I no longer have the time to waste days like I used to. I started wearing high heels, putting on a suit, and socializing in the business world. The last time I heard news of Thomas was at a party in the port city, where I overheard a group of people from Haiching talking about him. Since the last time they met, Thomas has sold all his shares in the company. Insiders do not understand clearly. His company is thriving, yet he suddenly digs his own grave. The first love that Thomas publicly revealed on Facebook was also beaten up by his hired men and driven out of Haiching. It is said that Selena ended up with nothing in the end and developed a sense of revenge. When Thomas was crossing the street, she drove her car and crashed into him fiercely. Both people were seriously injured in the car accident, either dead or crippled. 2 months later, I suddenly remembered something and removed Thomas from the blacklist, almost as if by fate. I opened his Facebook and saw his last post. It was about me. It was a letter of self-reflection. In it, He reviews and regrets, saying that he realized his true feelings too late. He said that he took in Selena at that time because he learned that she did not intentionally abandon him to go abroad, but rather had fallen ill and lost her sight. But now he realizes that he has been fooled like a fool, going around in circles, and the only person he has wronged is Rachel. Seeing this letter of reflection, I'm already calm and unperturbed. I do not know whether Thomas is alive or dead. I also do not know where Selena has ended up because it really has nothing to do with me anymore. 2 months later, I was pregnant. Wilson happily hugged his wife. I hope we have a daughter as beautiful as you, but we have to keep an eye on her. We can't let bad people deceive her. The story ends.